And back here at halftime, Wildcats lead Northwest by a score of 14-7. Football not the only thing that's in full swing. The men's and women's soccer program here at Pearl Community College off to another great start, and we're joined now by head coach Henrik Madsen, entering his fourth season with the Wildcats, and another great start. Henrik, first and foremost, man, I know you're all so busy right now playing games and practicing and making sure y'all stay ready to go, but I appreciate you coming by and spend some time with us tonight.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for the invite.
Well, man, let's look back last year. What a great season y'all had. I mean, you get right down there. You were one win away from making it into the tournament finals in Region 23, and then you come back this year with a great start. But let's kind of talk about last year's season and the progress that you made.
Yeah, I mean, obviously last year we had so many new players come in, so it took them a little time to adjust to the quality of the league and what we were expecting from them. And then I think about halfway through the season, they kind of turned it around and started really gelling and playing hard for each other. And then, yeah, like you said, we were close, lost in overtime to Holmes.
And you look at this season where you're at, of course you got the national ranking 16th right now. You're off to a great start. You're playing well. You got a lot of returnees from that team last year, which helps as well. Let's kind of talk about some of the young ladies who are back for a second year here with you, and then we'll talk about how y'all have played thus far in the early season.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we even have the luxury of having some third-year players back this year, so it's been an easier transition, I think, for the new ones coming in because we have so many returning players that now know exactly what the league is about and what they need to do and what's expected of them. So that's made the transition easier for the young ones, I think.
Let's talk about some of those players back from that team last year. Of course, I know she's kind of banged up right now, but Anita, man, Gomez Doder, what a great job she did for you last year. But, that's forced you now to kind of move some folks around, kind of talk about your team, some of the personnel back for that second year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Anita is a key player in there. We believe firmly that she's probably the best keeper in the country. So she's a big piece back there. But not only is she good saving the ball, but she can really play with her feet, which is a big factor in how we play. And then we have Lauren Bennett coming in from USM. That's been a big stabilizing factor in the back, and Lily's is returning back there. So we've got some experience on the back line.
Let's talk about your season thus far. Of course, you're going to really dive into your region schedule here, or I should say the conference schedule here real quickly, but off to a good start. Got a win over Columbia State, a win over Gulf Coast, and a win up at Fulton. You played Mineral Area College, and then you beat Gordon State at Meridian, then you beat Hines. Of course, Meridian on the schedule for tomorrow. Let's just talk about what you've seen out of your team in those first 5 matches.
Yeah, I mean, I think they work really, really hard. I think they press really well as a group, and they've had some composure in front of the net and put some games away nice and early. And then obviously we played the Gulf Coast game. That's always close because it's a rivalry game. So that was exciting. But, like you said, we haven't started conference play yet. So tomorrow we kind of reset back to 0-0 and get going.
Let's talk about this real quick. This league is so tough. I mean, you look at the last couple of years, I think, you can attest to this, that this league is so much better. Soccer in general is better now in the United States. And I'm kind of ask you this question. Has club play, high school play, what's contributed to making the sport as popular as it is, but also making the sport better, more competitive?
I mean, I think both. Club is, I think, very important because it starts the kids off playing soccer at a younger age. And then the cool thing about the U.S. is the high school scene where you get a lot of people coming out to watch and you get your friends coming out to watch. So it gets them used to more of a crowd and the stadium atmosphere part of it. But, I think both contribute to the growth of it for sure.
What's the biggest adjustment for a player who comes from club or high school to come into this league? What's the first thing you see that they kind of eyes wide open they're not used to?
Yeah, I think the workload, for one, when you come in August, you got 2 weeks of preseason and then school starts and then your game starts. And I think the first time you're away from home, you're trying to get used to being away from home, and you don't have high school teachers reminding you about homework, so there's a lot of time management, and the academics is such a big part of it. They have to keep up with their schoolwork. So I think that's the hardest part, to kind of figure out on their own time how to time manage the schoolwork and the soccer and then the social part of it.
How difficult is it for you, when you having to deal with the turnover every year. And, of course, COVID's changed that a little bit. You mentioned you've had a chance to keep a couple for now a third season. Same thing for Coach Smith on his football team. Same thing in basketball. We just went through that with Coach Oni with the Twins out of Biloxi. The same thing on the baseball team. But talk about that. What's that been like having to deal with that?
I mean, obviously the turnover is always an interesting thing. So you can see the league will change from year to year. You'll have one team that loses 14 players, and then now they have to reshuffle and recruit that many players again the next year. So it just evens out, I think, the league and gives everybody a real shot at always competing, to be fair. Looking
at the polls, a couple teams in the state ranked ahead of us. Every team in here in every sport can beat you, particularly in soccer. Just kind of look at your conference and how you see the conference shaping up right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously you look at the rankings, and there's a lot of Mississippi teams from our conference up in the top 15. So I think that speaks volumes for the quality of the teams and the quality of the coaching that's going on in our league. I think it's very, very high compared to a lot of other conferences.
Recruiting-wise, I mean, you've got some, players international, but you've got a really, and I'm going to say it's a really concentration. I'm going to use I-20 South, up around I-20 South. When you look at your roster, boy, huge concentration of South Mississippi products. Soccer getting that much better down here?
I think it is. I mean, I think it's growing, and then I think there's just so many more kids playing now that there's a bigger, more players available for schools as well to recruit. So I think that's opened it up, and then, we're starting to get into Hattiesburg as well, recruiting-wise, and so I think we're expanding our pool a little by little.
Looking at this league, and I talked about how tough it is, but looking at this league, talk about the grind in this league with the travel and, trying to work around schedules, as you mentioned, with class. I mean, it's quite a toll on the athlete when they come in here. You said earlier that's the biggest transition. Kind of walk through a typical week once you get into conference play, what that plays out to be for your team.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we started this week, and now we're back on Tuesday, Friday game schedule, so then it becomes some long days for the girls, and then Tuesday we had the America's Got Talent, so then we had to change that around and play earlier. So it was good for the girls. They got to hang out and see the America's Got Talent. That was cool for them, but now they have to juggle the schoolwork, on top of that. So what's really good about Pearl River is the teachers are so flexible with it. If they miss a lab on a Tuesday, they can go make it up another day, which is great for the kids because now they don't miss any of the classwork because they can just go make it up with another class.
When you're out on the recruiting trail, what are some of the things you try to use to sell Pearl River? Your program alone speaks for itself, what you've done here in a short period of time, but what are some of the things you try to sell student athletes on to come to Pearl River?
I mean, you can see it tonight, right? You got all the athletes are down there, the soccer players and baseball and all that stuff down in the end zone, having a tailgate, and it's just a really cool place to work and to go to school. There's so much stuff going on, and they'll never be bored, and all the sports teams are all good. Everybody supports everybody. Baseball comes to soccer, soccer goes to baseball, everybody goes to basketball. So I think it's really, really a cool place to go. It kind of sells itself when we bring girls in and they see the facilities, how good it is, how top-notch everything is. And I think a lot of girls, at least for us from the recruiting standpoint, get surprised how good our facilities are.
Campus in general is just I'm going to say this, the growth of the campus, but the construction of all the new buildings. And had some friends came on campus back during baseball season, hadn't been on campus for 15, 20 years. They came down and wanted to watch the region. They rode around. They said, honestly, they almost got lost because they did not know where all these 6 buildings came up. They had not seen Marvin R. White. They had not seen the new dorms. And, and that's impressive when you pull a student on this campus. It looks like a 4-year school.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the nice thing. They come on, and it's big enough to where you think it's a 4-year school, but it's also small enough to where they're still comfortable in the surroundings. So it's a really good transition from high school to being on your own to kind of a big school, but not too big where I think it's overwhelming.
Let's talk about your team. What are some of the things right now that you, after having a chance to have some matches and get a feel, getting a chance to play different players, what are some of the things that you look at this team that you've got to improve upon to make a run in conference?
I think we could always be sharper in front of the net. I think we create a lot of good chances. I think they work really hard and press really well, and then we create chances. Now we just got to put them all in the back of the net at a little bit of a higher rate. But I think that will come with more games that we get to play.
Roster, when I look at it, I see number 10 on here. Last name Madsen. Let's kind of talk about that. That's got to be kind of special for you.
Yeah, that was really cool. She was threatening with going to East Central for a long time, so I'm really happy that she ended up here playing for me. I know sometimes it's tough playing for Dad, but I really enjoy getting to watch her, and I think it's been really neat watching her interact with the girls and seeing her integrate within the team. I know other parents go through it all the time, so it's been neat for me to kind of watch.
Well, you look at even being here, and I'm sure, I know Coach Avalon, he deals with this, being a coach with young athletes in his family. Coach Smith deals with this, and when you look at that, it's hard when you've got your responsibility here, and then you've got a daughter playing down in Gulfport or playing, they're on the road somewhere. How do you manage that? That's got to be a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a nightmare. I think we've always done it in my family. It's family comes first, and so I include my family in everything. Like my wife comes up a lot to the games, and she's included around the girls, and my two kids my two daughters come up. Teddy's already been through here. So we've always gone through and tried to include them as much as possible. And I see the same here. I see Coach Smith's kids around all the time, and I see Avalon's kids all around. I think it's just neat because family is so important, and I think Pearl River's really big on that.
That's one thing that starts at the top. Adam Brewerwood, he pushes that from the top down about the importance of everybody working together. And it's no different. You mentioned the fan support down here in this end zone with all the other athletes here in the basketball games. Your girls have been in there. They're a big part of supporting those teams. But I think that's one of the things I tell people. My involvement here at the college going on like 5 years now. You have no idea how close knit everybody is. Yeah, it's a big place. There's a lot going on, but everybody here is close knit.
Yeah, I mean it's one big family. That's for sure. I mean it's a big place, but at the end of the day, it's everybody supports everybody. Everybody wants everybody to be successful, and I think all the programs supporting each other creates a really cool atmosphere for the home games, so I've really enjoyed being part of it. I think it's a big plus, especially here, as much support as we get from everybody.
I want to just take a minute here and kind of brag a little bit on Richard Gleaver and his team, and also Tyler Johnson, who does the play-by-play on PRCC Media for both the men's and women's team. What a good job he's done. Social media has changed a lot. The ability to stream the games at home, that helps in recruiting, I'm sure.
No, it's definitely a selling point, especially for the international students. We can tell them, look, you can watch your kid play. And Richard and those guys are doing a great job. I was just calling Richard the other day and telling him that who's our commentator, because I really love him. I was like, I just love it. So good. It's so smooth.
Tyler's really good. Tyler had never really been around behind the mic. He came to me about 3 years ago. Said, hey, I want to learn how to do baseball. I said, good. He said, all of a sudden, Patrick and him talked to him about doing volleyball. I said, can't help you. Go to YouTube. He said, soccer. I said, I know Pele played. He was good, and I love watching him. I don't know how to call it. But, he has really progressed. He does a great job. And he's selling Pearl River with those videos, the call on those video streams. That's very important, as you mentioned.
Yeah. No, I think that, everybody can stream it, but the fact that we have commentating on it, and he's knowledgeable about the way that he says it and how he words it, and then he's excited, so I think it's just cool to watch.
Look at the job Patrick Oakes did. Of course, now he's your athletic director, but you look at the job that Dylan Dunaway does, man, and I mentioned Richard already, but what a great job he does of promoting athletics here at Pearl River Community College.
Yeah, everybody from the PR department to the athletic department, they do a really, really good job of promoting it. That makes it easier for us coaches to recruit because a lot of it is already done. We just got to get the athletes on campus, and then it takes care of itself from there.
Well, Henrik, thank you so much for your time, man. Best of luck to you and your squad. Been off to a great start. Nationally ranked, unbeaten at this point. Going to have a big conference game tomorrow, as you mentioned here. That's here right against Meridian tomorrow. Is that home or is that away?
Yeah, it's here.
It's here tomorrow. Meridian. So PRCCmedia.com. I think it's on Gold Channel. Tyler Johnson will be on the call that tomorrow. So, folks, keep an eye on this bunch here. They had a great year last year and look for bigger and better things this year. Head coach Henrik Madsen. Thank you, Henrik. Appreciate it.
Thank you all so much.